In this video, we're gonna learn how to use Shamir Secret Sharing to do some extra magic on MPC protocols. And I guess I'm here with David Wong, who we introduced in the first video, but just in case you missed it, is a co-founder of zkSecurity and the author of Real-World Cryptography. So, all right, take it away, David.
Cool. So I guess in the previous videos, I've sort of implied that there is this grand way of doing MPC with Shamir Secret Sharing.
That's right.
And as opposed to like garbled circuits or maybe other methods. But I guess I never defined what Shamir Secret Sharing is, so probably it's a good time to define it. So we have all these situations in cryptography where we have a secret and we're kind of scared of keeping that secret somewhere, for example, in cryptocurrencies, like your wallet and stuff like that. So sometimes, actually a lot of companies do that, where they'll generate a secret and they'll split that secret into shares and they'll distribute it to different places, or different custodians will keep some shares, or you can keep one at your mother's place or whatever. And when you want to use the key, you collect all the shares, you gather them in one place, and then you can recombine the secret.
Yep.
Right?
So essentially, nobody knows the secret unless everyone gets together and can combine their knowledge to reconstruct the secret itself. So you
Exactly.
Literally, it's like, I guess the mental image I have is you have a little piece of paper and you split it up into 6 different things.
Or you can
give it to people.
Picture a key and you have this trusted dealer and they'll basically break that key into pieces.
Perfect.
And give it to different people. And
Right. Okay.
Okay, so Shamir Secret Sharing. So the way this works is that you start by generating a random polynomial of degree n minus 1, and we're doing Shamir Secret Sharing for n participants.
So and a random polynomial of degree n minus 1 here is a polynomial whose coefficients are uniformly drawn from some field, I assume, right?
Yeah, so C0 plus C1 x plus C2 x squared plus Cn minus 1 x n minus 1, and all of these things are random, all these coefficients. And then what we do is that we're going to say that C0 is the actual secret.
Okay.
Right? So if you didn't have a secret in the beginning to begin with, then you don't care, like whatever you generated here will be your secret. Otherwise you set, this is the computer science notation.
Oh, that is a bit painful, but it's okay.
Right?
To be your secret. So essentially, the point is you would set C0 if you didn't have a secret. If you want to generate a random secret, C0 is perfectly fine if it's random.
Exactly.
If you wanted to split up your own secret, you would then set C0 to be equal to whatever your secret is.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Okay.
Let's write that better. And
Great.
so what you do now is that you will give shares to different people, right? And these shares are basically evaluations of your polynomial at different points.
Okay.
So imagine that you want 3 shares. Actually, I said n participants, so n shares. What you do is that you create this set of, let's take the evaluation point 1, for example, and f evaluated at 1. Then you take 2 and f evaluated at 2, etc. until n fn.
Okay. Yep. Perfect.
Right? And you give these shares to P1, P2, etc.
Beautiful so far. Okay.
Right? So now we have shares. The question is, how do we combine them together to recover the key? And the easy answer is that we interpolate f from the evaluations, right? And we know that for a polynomial of degree n minus 1, how many evaluations do we need to recover the polynomial?
No, n.
You need n.
N, right?
N evaluations. So you interpolate f, you recover f, and to recover f, you need n evaluations. And then you compute f of 0, which gives you the constant, which is the secret.
So, okay, so the point here is the reason we can do this is because there exists a unique polynomial which goes through, so given endpoints, there exists exactly one unique polynomial that corresponds to the evaluation of that polynomial over endpoints.
Right.
And of course, it turns out that there is an easy formula for if given those evaluations, we can reconstruct the polynomial whose evaluations, the unique polynomial, which we said is unique, corresponding to those individual like points, right? So in other words, the way to think about it is like, it's actually a linear system because we have n points that we wish, we have n coefficients, C0 through Cn, right? And then we have n equations for those to match, right? So the first one would be C0 plus C1 plus C2 plus ...
Right.
The next one is another linear equation, C0 plus C1 times 2 plus C2 times 4 plus ... And that gives us a linear system, an n by n linear system, right? And then we can invert that to matrix somehow. It shouldn't be too difficult to do. Is that, I believe that's, okay.
Exactly that. Okay. That's exactly that. And usually you use, one of the common way to do it is also just to use the Lagrange interpolation.
Right, that's right. So there's an explicit way of doing it.
Right.
That would work. Okay.
Cool. Good. So, so this is Shamir Secret Sharing for n participants. From here I can, so this kind of sucks by itself because if the n participants are not present, then you're unable to recombine the shares to define. Right. So usually what we want to do is we want to have a threshold scheme.
Okay.
Where if some of these people are missing because they're on holiday or they're at the movie, then it's fine because you only need like T of them.
Okay.
For T, small, usually smaller than n.
Yeah. Okay. Sure.
So also in cryptocurrencies, you see a lot of that, right? Like these multi-party wallets where only 2 of the people are needed to sign.
That's right. You could have 5 people, for example, and then you really only need 2 of them to agree to sign.
Right.
For it to work. That's right. Okay.
Okay. So how does that work? So actually, it's exactly the same scheme as that, except that in the A points, you're gonna generate F, a random polynomial, of degree
T, I assume.
T minus 1, or depending on definitions, T minus 1 or T.
That's right.
So that you need T evaluations to reconstruct it.
Exactly. Okay.
Okay. So that's it. So that's for n participants, and that's the same scheme, but a threshold version of that scheme.
Okay. And the reason why that works, of course, is because it's degree T minus 1, we only need T evaluation points, right, as opposed to n, when it was degree n, right? So we could have less people all come together, and I guess intuitively, why it should still retain secrecy is like no one person can know is because the polynomial we chose is still randomly evaluated. So all of the points that we give to people should look random, roughly speaking. Is that correct?
Or they define different curves. They define like like many different curves.
That's right.
And you need the last evaluation point to like fix it.
Okay. Cool.
Cool. Okay, so that sort of tells us how we can, I was talking about arithmetic circuits where you have different inputs and these gates.
That's right.
But sometimes we don't want, so we can start by replacing some of these inputs, not by these additive shares that I was using previously, but by Shamir shares, right? And so if this is my inputs, I can go through that process, or this one, right, the threshold version, and I can distribute my shares to others. Then we can sort of go through the protocol with that. And that sort of works.
So the sum should work, right? Because the point is that if we add 2 polynomials together, right? If we look at the 0th element, right? Adding 2 polynomials together, same thing as adding their coefficients together. Right. And so long as the evaluation points are the same.
Or same thing as adding, or you can add evaluations.
That's right.
Together, and these will
all the same thing, right? And so certainly, if there's a polynomial, it's uniquely goes through each individual one, and there's a unique polynomial that goes through the sum of the 2, and that sums in the way we expect. So we can sum. I assume we can scale. It should be pretty easy to see from the sum, but I have no idea how one would do multiplication.
So multiplication is the sort of the easy answer is that you can use beaver triples.
Okay.
The hard answer is that you can actually just multiply evaluations together. You can do that, except that
That's right.
because you're multiplying polynomials, the degree of your polynomial is going to increase.
It's going to be, yeah, that's right. That's right. Yes.
And so usually what you do is that you need 2t participants, and then you need to go through like some sort of reduction protocol to reduce the degree of the polynomial that you obtain.
Right, and the reason why you can multiply them together, of course, is because if you look at all the coefficients of when you multiply two polynomials together, you look at the coefficients, the intercept, in other words, the 0 degree term, is going to be exactly corresponding to the product of the intercepts. Right, that's why.
If you're doing what?
If you're multiplying the two polynomials together separately, in other words, multiplying their evaluation points, corresponds similarly to, if you look at the 0th degree term, so that's the one that we care about, then that if you work that out, it should be exactly the constant term for one polynomial times the constant term for the other polynomial. Right, plus a bunch of other stuff.
Plus a bunch of stuff, right?
That's right.
But since we're only playing with the evaluations, you should just think of like we have some f of x and we want to multiply it with some g of x. And so it is true that, so this gives us, let's call it t.
Yep.
And so it is true that t of 1 equals to f of 1 times g of 1.
That's right.
Right, so you can do that.
That's right. That's right. And more specifically, t of 0 will equal f of 0 times g of 0.
Right.
Right. So, but of course, now t is a polynomial of degree 2t, like you mentioned. So we need at least 2t points, or sorry, degree 2t minus 1. So we need 2t minus 1 points to reconstruct it.
Right.
Okay.
So maybe another thing that I didn't mention is that these new ways of creating shared values. How do you open it? How do you? Well, okay, I've mentioned it, but I never really. It kind of sucks at this point because if I want to explain that, I have to explain Lagrange basis. But maybe I can. Okay, just as a very brief spoiler that I'm not going to explain. If you have a value f here, you can recover it by doing. So we're assuming that people have f0. Oh, sorry, not f0. That's the secret.
That's right.
We're assuming that people have f1, f2, etc.
Yep.
Right? You can open it or recover it by taking the Lagrange basis for the first player or participant times their evaluation.
Yep.
Plus, and do that for all of them.
Yep. And that'll be equal to f0.
And
I guess are these polynomials on the left?
F of x.
These are polynomials of x.
Unless we evaluate the Lagrange basis to 0.
That's right.
Right? And so this is the way to recover a polynomial. And because we can do this specific thing locally, we can actually transform this Shamir secret share into an additive share. So if I get my f1,
that's brilliant.
And I do this thing, I get, and everybody does that locally.
Got it.
Right?
Yes, of course.
They get additive shares to the secret, to the same thing.
That's brilliant.
So here it's actually a secret that's shared. It's C0.
That's right. So the point is, okay, we can turn these Shamir secret shared kind of, I guess it's called sharded secrets, into kind of like an additive secret by simply pre-multiplying it by a constant that is known. Right, because that constant at L1 should only depend on the degree of the polynomial. Or L0 of 1, sorry.
Right.
Okay, that's really nice, actually.
And at this point you know who the participants are, so you know what index to use to create your Lagrange basis. So that's, I think that's all I say about how do you create the same stuff I showed you with additive shares, where you replace everything with Shamir secret shares. But one thing that I didn't mention, so I mentioned if this is an input, I create a Shamir secret share of that input, that's fine. But what if this one is a key? Like a secret key?
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay.
And And we don't want that secret key to be owned by any of the participants. We want all the participants to own collectively that secret key. And we don't want a trusted dealer or any of that. So in the MPC field, I guess, this is called a DKG.
Yep.
So distributed key generation.
Okay.
And so it's pretty simple to explain, but not necessarily easy to understand. Basically,
many such cases.
What all the participants do, it's like a one-liner. You're participant.
I'm participant one. Okay, right.
So what you do is that you generate your secrets, a secret X1, and then you create many shares using our threshold. Where is it? This one.
Yep.
Using the threshold one, the threshold version of the scheme, you create many shares and you distribute it to all the other participants.
Okay.
And I will do the same. I will create a secret, and I will distribute it to everyone. And basically, the secret key will be the addition,
the sum
of all of the individual secrets.
I see.
And this is something that can be recovered by taking the different shares and adding them, the different shares.
Essentially the individual shares, and then just taking whatever, I guess in this case, T of them, right? And you can recover the original secret here.
Right.
But you don't want to do that, right? So the point is, of course,
you want to compute on it.
You want to compute
and then recover this thing.
Okay.
And so that's. I think that's probably where I should stop.
Yeah. So the point here is the secret that has been generated is now the constant term for some polynomial. Right. And of course, much the same way that we could plug in any polynomial, any shared secret here, we can plug in a different shared, like this particular shared secret, which is not known to any participant. And that's brilliant, because then, of course, everything works out exactly the same way in the end. Now, to really see it, you of course have to work out the individual terms. So I wouldn't just take this at face value, but it's worth working it out carefully. But this is great. And so I guess in some sense we've now learned first things first, how to expand it to many players, and how to have a kind of a threshold scheme that lets us do maybe not all players are present at every point in time. And so it lets us have these kind of tolerance to faults or people kind of dropping out of the game. So great. Well, this is the end of the MPC series with David. But yeah, thank you so much for being here. And this is great. Me. Phenomenal explanations all around. I get way more now than I originally did. And I thought I knew a little bit, but this is quite good. Thank you.